Alrighty, so in this video, we're going to be covering moving from unlevered free cash flow to levered free cash flow and back, right? And I probably should have mentioned seventh video of the Probably series, 10th video of valuations, right? So if you guys remember from the unlevered free cash flow video, what is unlevered free cash flow, right? It's cash flow that's available to all of our investors. So because of that, we don't subtract our interest expense, right? So how do we calculate that out? Well, it's EBIT times 1 minus the tax rate, right? Then we subtract our CapEx, because that's money that's essentially being used for capital expenditures. That's not free cash that's available. Then we have to add back our depreciation amortization, right? Because that's a non-cash expense that we had. And then we're going to subtract the change in net working capital, right? So if our current assets increased over a period of time, that's a use of cash, right? So because of that, that's going to be a decrease in our overall free cash flow, right? And then I touched on this very lightly, but our levered free cash flow, the thing is, levered free cash flow has a ton of different definitions, right? With that, it is a little bit controversial in terms of, oh, what exactly is the exact definition for it, but I'm going to give you one that's relatively safe, right, that you can use throughout your process. So instead of EBIT times 1 minus the tax rate, we just use net income. Then we subtract the same capital expenditures, we add back our depreciation just like above, and we subtract our changes in net working capital, right? So this is a question that sometimes comes up, and they say, a banker might ask you, how do you go from unlevered free cash flow to levered free cash flow, right? Well, this is the exact same, this is the exact same, and this is the exact same, right? So what's the only difference? Well, in this one, net income is essentially your earnings before taxes times 1 minus the tax rate. And this is your earnings before interest in taxes, right? So the only real difference is the after tax interest expense, right? And if you're going from unlevered to levered, then you just subtract that out, right? Because EBIT is earnings before interest and taxes, right? So and then you're applying the tax rate to it. So essentially you're taking into account the taxes on the interest portion as well. But when you're moving from unlevered free cash flow to levered free cash flow, all you have to subtract is the after-tax interest expense, and that's the only adjustment that you really need to make, right? This is a bit of a side point. This, if you give just this answer, honestly, that's enough for this question. If you want to kind of go above and beyond, some people define levered free cash flow as this formula above, but then they also subtract out debt repayments, right? So if that's the case, then that's something else that you adjust from unlevered free cash flow to go to levered free cash flow. But honestly, I would say it's not really something that you have to talk about. The main thing that you want to talk about is the adjustment for after-tax interest expense. And honestly, that should be good enough. So I hope that was helpful, and let's hop into the next one.